I was at an event last night with Martha Bonetta, who was here with me live in studio. Martha, good to have you.
Good morning. Good morning.
At our Washington studio, we were at a Salem event last night, and Mitch McConnell was there. We had a chance to chat with him, along with Majority Leader in the House, Kevin McCarthy. And McConnell was very confident that he was going to get 50 votes and get a skinny bill to reconciliation. And what he said to us last night is, I don't know why you wouldn't vote for this. There's no downside. If you don't like the final product, vote no.
Right. That's exactly right.
Vote no. That's what McConnell said. So I'll see how it plays out. 2 Republicans are going to vote no, along with 48 Democrats, no matter what it is. It could be a pot of gold. They're going to vote no. So they have no room for error. Now, joining us now, actually in a few moments, will be Shak Hill. Shak Hill filed to run against Barbara Comstock for Congress for the Republican nomination, 10th District. Now, Barbara is a never-Trumper. If Trump's for it, she's against it. She never has a nice thing to say. She doesn't like the president, and she doesn't want to be associated with him. So every vote that she takes is anti-Trump, and she votes with the Democrats, and so I guess she can keep her job. I'm going to go back for the third time today and quote the saintly one, the Fräulein, who told me many years ago, she's always right. She told me, she said, John, if my Republican representative is going to vote like a Democrat, I damn well might as well get the real thing. And I never forgot that. And so Shak Hill's running against Barbara. I'm for Shak. Doesn't matter what his policies are. Shak, when you come on, I'm for you, done. Because the only way these weasel politicians who say one thing and do another are ever held accountable, ever, is if somebody challenges them in a primary. That's it. Other than that, they want their office, they want their money, big donors, and everybody's going to be telling me, oh, Barbara can't lose. Barbara's going to raise all this money. Barbara's got millions of dollars. Barbara works 20 hours a day. Barbara's got this network. Barbara this and Barbara that. Barbara this and Barbara that. Barbara. All I know is she votes against Trump, so what's the point? Makes no sense. And now I can rail on her because Kellyanne Conway can't holler at me for doing it anymore. So what do you think of that? Joining us now, Shak Hill. Hasn't made the announcement, but he filed. I made Martha laugh. Shak, good to have you with me, man.
Hey, John. Good morning to you and Martha. I mean, there's no bigger defenders of the truth than the two of you standing there at our nation's capital, especially defending the dream of the American farmer and American liberty, and I'm glad to be with you today.
So I got to tell this story every time Shak Hill comes on because we go to the convention in Roanoke. Shak, do you mind if I tell this story? Do you mind? I know you've heard it. You've heard it like 5 times. So we're in the convention in Roanoke. We're broadcasting live, and we've endorsed Ed Gillespie, right? Because all my friends are saying, oh, we got to get Ed. Ed can win, and Shak can't win. Shak has no money, blah, blah, blah. And Ed can win. We all want Ed, blah, blah, blah. And, it's, get on the ticket and this and that. So, okay, well, I'll endorse that, right? Everybody makes sense. Shak doesn't have any money, blah, blah, blah. And he can't win the convention, but we're there live. And so, but I'm part of the Chesapeake delegation, so we're doing the thing, and I get in there, and I see all these yellow shirts.
I know.
Yellow shirts, Shak shirts.
Yes.
And I'm like, what the hell is this? And then they're coming in droves. They're all over. They hand out flyers. And then the Gillespie congressional delegation goes into a dead panic, right? Morgan Griffith and Bob Goodluck, they're panicking, and they're going to their individual districts in the stands and getting people to change the vote for Ed. So I go up to vote in Chesapeake, and I have my ballot in my hand, okay? And I'm going to vote for Ed. You know how you go on the line to get your ballot, and then you fill it and you put it in the box of the Chesapeake delegation. And standing behind me is E.W. Jackson, all right? And he says, you're going to vote for Ed, aren't you? And I'm like, yeah. And of course, E.W. was for Shak. Uh-huh. So E.W. says, you're going to vote for Ed. And I said, yes. And he said, John, you color in that box and you will rue the day you did this. That's all he said. Rue the day.
I've got goosebumps.
Right behind me. You will rue the day. And I'm like, God, that's a pretty powerful statement.
From E.W. Jackson as well.
You will rue the day.
Yeah.
So he said to me, in your heart, do the right thing. And right there, I changed my vote, and I voted for Shak Hill. And I've never done that in my life. And I voted for Shak Hill, and I put it in the box. And yeah, I did. I voted for Shak.
I've got goosebumps.
And E.W. Jackson said, you will rue the day. And he was right. So joining us now, he's filed to run against Barbara Comstock in the 10th district, the ultimate never Trumper of all time. So Shak, when are you going to make your announcement? What inspired this race?
Well, we're putting our team together. We're dotting the I's and we're crossing the T's, and the announcement's going to be coming here soon. You're not going to believe the enthusiasm. I've already talked to many conservatives across the country, John, that are so disappointed with Congressman Comstock. And you said it. You know, she's often anti-Trump, and I'm going to tell you this: when you're anti-Trump these days, you're anti-American, and because Trump was voted by the voice of the people. People came out of not believing in politics. They came out of not believing in the Republican Party or the Democrat Party, and they believe in Donald Trump to drain the swamp. And when you vote against Donald Trump in a lot of ways, you're voting against America. And Barbara is anti-Trump. And that's why we're running. I love America. I love liberty. I love Virginia. I've been to Paris, Virginia. I've tasted the milk. It's great. The federal government doesn't belong there. But I'll tell you where the federal government doesn't belong either. It doesn't belong in our military, telling us what we need to do with regard to elective surgery. It doesn't belong in the travel ban with regard to telling the president what he can and cannot do to protect our country. The federal government doesn't belong in health care with Obamacare, which is a complete disaster. And I know that a lot of your listeners are from the military in Virginia Beach, and congratulations, by the way, on heading up here in Northern Virginia. You'll be broadcasting up here. But today is the end of the Korean War in 1953. And, John, I have to tell you, I have two boys that are on active duty in the United States Army. And yesterday, one of my children received orders to Afghanistan. And if we're not protecting and defending our military, which has two jobs and two jobs only, to break things and kill people, and if we're not protecting them and defending them, then we are weakening our ability to have the liberty and the American dream. That's why I'm running.
Well, Shak,
Powerful
statement. And our prayers are going to be with your son that just got deployed to Afghanistan, the hellhole. As you know, Shak, I don't hide the fact that I'm opposed to sending troops there or for this war, and I think there should be an AUMF and Congress should get involved. Having said that, this isn't a time for politics. Tell us your son's name so we can keep him in our thoughts.
His first name is Jake, and just to be clear, he's received orders. The deployment will be later on this year. I don't know when. He cannot tell me when. But he's going to be there for 9 months or plus or minus, and he's going with his entire unit. And I need to make sure that I've got a representative back here in Washington that is voting to represent the people. You see, one of the things that has really happened in the 10th Congressional District is Barbara has broken the coalition called the Republican Party. You have to recognize it for what it is. It's the Trump coalition, the Cruz coalition, the Rand Paul coalition, the Tea Party, and the establishment. And she's broken 4 out of 5. And, John, I'm going to tell you, Martha looks across the street there on Highway 50 into the 10th Congressional District from her beautiful farm, and she knows that if you don't hold those coalitions together, you're going to lose. And Barbara Comstock will lose the general election next year. So the question is not, does she have enough money? She's got more money than everybody else, but you have to figure out why she has that. But she's going to lose because she's lost the people and she's lost the trust of the people.
Well, the other question you'd have to ask Barbara Comstock is, why are we even bothering to run for re-election? I mean, what's the point of you being there as a Republican? Or why don't you just change and go to an R from a D? Then I might have more respect for you. Look, Barbara Comstock's presence in Congress does nothing for the Trump agenda. She votes against every one of his initiatives. She doesn't like the president, nor does she like anybody around him. So what's the point? And so the Washington Post loves having her there so they can quote her and say, Republican Congresswoman Barbara Comstock once again breaks with President Trump on any number of any issues of any day. So the point of Barbara Comstock is this. Barbara Comstock gets elected, raises money, has parties, flits around, and she can say she's a congresswoman and she got the establishment behind her and all this. But what's the point? I said this last time she ran. Somebody said, oh, it's going to be close. I'm like, who cares? If she wins, I don't care. If she gets beat, who cares? Because it makes no difference. She does nothing for this administration. We are, Shak, at a time in history. We are at a time in history right now where we have one opportunity to change the trajectory of this country, and that is through President Trump. Now, you might not like his style and some of the things he does, but you got one shot. And if we blow this, we're done. And who knows what's going to happen. And Barbara Comstock's presence there does nothing to help this president get his agenda done.
Yeah, you're totally correct. Barbara's wrong on the issue. She was wrong on the transgender vote. And thank goodness Donald Trump has the country's back and overruled her. She was wrong on the travel ban. Even as a lawyer, I mean, she should have known better. She was overruled by the unanimous Supreme Court. But here's something, John, to think about. In the Mark Levin Conservative Review, Barbara is a 19% voting record. So don't listen to what she says. Listen to how she votes. She's a 19%, and she holds a distinct record of being second from the bottom of all Republicans in Congress. Second from the bottom. And here's the other thing which is interesting. There are 50 Democrats that are better or tied with her on that exact survey. And you have to look at things like jobs. She came in and said she was going to help us with jobs and help the country with jobs, and yet she votes for executive amnesty with every single Democrat. She comes in and says we need to have better education. So she says no child left behind reauthorization. She goes ahead and votes with every single Democrat on the issue. And it's spending and it's other things. And I'm going to tell you something, John. Barbara Comstock is a creature of the swamp. And we have to drain the swamp.
Shak, I know that you have an extraordinary testimony about your family. And I don't know, I'm sure most of our listeners know about it. But I believe that you and your family, you and your wife, have fostered how many children?
Since 1997, Martha, we fostered 46 children and gave them a loving home while their parents were able to learn how to be parents. And this is a testimony as to who we are, and I appreciate you bringing that up, because it's not what you say, it's what you do. And our life and my life, through my military experience, having graduated from the United States Air Force Academy and being a combat pilot, of course, I mentioned my two boys who are a fourth generation of soldiers in uniform defending our country. My life is my voting record, and that's what we have to look at.
Yeah, I think your story is very compelling. You know, adoption is near and dear to my heart, and there are so many children that need good, loving homes. And I think you're awarded. Didn't you get an award from the state for your providing a loving home to so many children?
Yes. In 2013, our family was graciously awarded the Commonwealth of Virginia's Family of the Year Award presented by the governor himself at the Capitol. And this is just another explanation, or an example, I should say, Martha, on people who are ordinary, regular citizens. They love our country. They love the things that we have accumulated because of our hard work, and we stand up and we fight and we do the right thing. I mean, there's a Bonetta bill named directly for you and your efforts because you stood up as a regular American and you said, enough is enough. We cannot have these bureaucrats telling us what we need to do. We cannot have these bureaucrats impacting our military readiness and the cohesiveness of the units. We have to recognize that our rights come from our Creator. And God bless you, Martha and John, for being the voice of common sense out there. But we really have to ask ourselves this question. And I'm talking specifically to everybody in the 10th Congressional District. Does Barbara Comstock really represent you? Because I'm coming in a position of service. I'm coming in a position that I love America. I love our founders. I love the Constitution. I love the ability to be able to pick ourselves up from our bootstraps. And Martha, one other thing that many of your listeners don't know, you know, I came from a solid lower middle class family. And I worked my way and put myself through high school. When I worked as a dishwasher and then a busboy, and I baled hay at Louisiana Downs racetrack illegally at the age of 15.
I love Louisiana Downs. Hey, I love that place, Shak.
I paid to go to high school.
Well, I've been to Louisiana Downs' third favorite racetrack in America. Saratoga,
sure.
Number one. And everybody's going to say Churchill Downs, Kentucky. I don't like it, too big. But my second favorite is in Little Rock, Arkansas, where they run the Arkansas Derby. That's my second favorite track. Third, sure. Louisiana Downs, a great racetrack. Of course, I used to race horses for a living, Shak, so I've been to all of them. Look, we got a couple more minutes, but we got a lot to talk about. And I don't have Kellyanne can't call me up today and holler at me like she did in the campaign. So I'm free to wheel. Love Kellyanne to death. She was my boss, and when I was dissing Barbara during the campaign last time, she was not a happy camper. So she called me up, and so I stopped because I'm a team player, and I get it. So I never said another word, and that was it. But now I love Kellyanne to death, but I'm not running the Trump campaign in Virginia, so I can do whatever I want. Shak, look, I just got to ask you this question. Okay, as soon as this gets out, this show, everybody's going to be, I've already gotten the text. He doesn't have any money. He can't win.
My
blah.
phone's been getting blown up.
He doesn't have any money.
Yeah.
He can't raise money. He only raised $20,000 to run for Senate. That's a joke. Barbara has untold swamp dollars into the millions. All she does, she's a fundraising machine. We can't lose that seat. Nobody else can win. My point is, what does holding the seat mean if she votes against Trump? What the hell's the difference? Can somebody just tell me that? What's the difference, Shak?
And that's the issue. And the good news is we're going to raise enough money to be able to reach directly to the primary voters. And we have the ability this time, because we know Barbara's not going to win. It does not matter how much money she has. I mean, John, this is going to be an Eric Cantor moment.
Right.
Where the people are going to rise up and they're going to say that we are mad and we are angry and we're not going to be represented by somebody who claims to be a Republican. I mean, don't forget, Barbara ran as a conservative. She ran with the direct words of saying, I'm a Reagan conservative on the Mark Levin show. And by the way, Mark Levin has totally disavowed her in every way, shape, and form. I mean, she does not get the job done. So, go to shakhill.com. We don't have that website up and running as a congressional website just yet. So make a note of it, but go to shakhill.com. And if all your listeners chipped in $20, we'd have plenty of
$20. I mean, just go to shakhill.com.
So
$20.
She's a moral.
$20. Look, shakhill.com, $20, all you need, right? Go to shakhill.com. Give the guy $20.
Yep.
Instead of going to lunch today, go to McDonald's, go on a diet, give him $20. And, here's the thing. Shak has stepped up, and I got to hold you over, man, because I'm almost out of time here. But Shak has stepped up and said, I'm going to hold Barbara Comstock accountable to the future of America. Because right now, Barbara Comstock is a never-Trumper, and she represents the Barbara Comstock party. End of statement. That's it. Shak Hill has stepped up. He's put himself on the line. He's going to get all kinds of abuse, and the establishment's going to come down on his head, and they want to save the seat, and blah, blah, blah. Right? Give him $20, right? That's all he needs. Shakhill.com. Shak, I'm excited that you're running for Congress against Barbara Comstock because somebody's got to step up and have the guts to challenge these Republicans who stand for nothing and who don't back President Trump. You got to primary them because, Shak, that's all they understand, man. Right?
Yeah, but you know what? It's not so much stepping up to primary somebody, and it's not so much stepping up to, to have a fight. I think what I'm doing is I'm stepping up because of liberty. I'm stepping up because of the love of this country. I'm stepping up for my youngest two children that are still in high school that want to have the American dream. So we do need the $20 and $30, $40. But, going back to Debbie Wasserman Schultz and her double mastectomy, my wife, Robin, is a very healthy cancer survivor. And she's had a double mastectomy along with 5 other surgeries. And I don't want her or Congressman, Debbie or any other lady to have to worry about where their health care is coming from. And if they're going to have to stand in line. And if they're going to have to wait on some government bureaucrat to approve a particular procedure or diagnostic. I want to run a proactive campaign, not necessarily an anti-campaign, but we have to make sure people know that Barbara has failed the moral test. And if you want to give her money to somebody who's failed the moral test, you have every American right to do that. But I say to you, if you want somebody who's going to pass the moral test, then I will be your man.
All right, well, Shak, look, let's get to brass tacks. You're a big underdog, no question. You're going to get outspent 50-1. How do you win this race?
Well, first of all, we win this race by telling the people what we believe in and what we stand for. But I have to tell you, John, we've already had grassroots communication from as far away as California being very excited about where we're going to be. We've talked to the Corey Stewart campaign. We've talked to Bob Marshall. We've talked to many people inside of the 10th Congressional District. And everybody's very concerned about Barbara's ability to win. She's going to lose the general, John. She's going to lose the general because she's broken the coalition of the Republican Party. And we just need somebody who's going to bring liberty and freedom, recognizes that our talents come from our Creator, and wants the individual person to make decisions for themselves and not the government. And that's how we win.
And here's the bottom line. If she does win, it's a Pyrrhic victory because it means nothing, because she's going to continue to vote against Donald Trump's agenda for America. So I said it before and I'll say it again. Who cares? Now, I'm going to should I tell the Kellyanne Conway story again? Quickly, I'm going to tell the Kellyanne Conway story. During the campaign, I'm chairman, and on the radio during the campaign, Barbara never Trumper, wanted to get out of the race, so I'm dissing her on the air, kind of doing what I am today. And this goes on for a couple days, tweets and things of that nature, because I was upset that she called for Trump to get out of the race, and I was a chairman of Virginia, and she was doing us no favors, right? So anyway, I get a phone call, and it's from Kellyanne. This is the only time she ever got mad at me while I was chairman of the state. And phone comes up, and it's a block number, and I answer it, and she says, "John, this is Kellyanne." And I said, "Hello, Kellyanne." And she said, "I'm not a happy camper." And I said, "That's not a good thing. What's the matter?" And she says, "You're dissing Barbara Comstock on the radio and on social media. You're my chairman in Virginia. That's not helpful. I need you to stop." And I said, "Okay." And she said, "Am I clear?" And I said, "Crystal clear." And then she said, this is a whole conversation. And then she said, "So I can count on that, right?" And I'm like, "Yes, ma'am." I guess she expected me to fight back or give excuses. I just said, "Yes, ma'am." And there's this 3-second pause, and she says, "That's why I love you so much. You are the best chairman that I have. You just keep doing what you're doing, and thank you. You're the best. I love you." She hangs up. So I stopped, right? Because
and I think, John, I think there's a time that you have to kind of play politics and you have to be a team player.
You got to be a team player.
Unfortunately, that's the reality.
Right. There's times where you got to be a team player.
more with the Democrat Party on the key issues that impact our families, that impact our liberty. And today is not the day to be playing politics. We need to have somebody in the Congress that recognizes the truth about the foundation of our country and is not a creature of the swamp. Barbara is a creature of the swamp, and she votes like a drunken Democrat.
A what Democrat?
Don't hold back, Shak.
A drunken Democrat?
A drunken Democrat. But you know, it's funny because Denver, I heard you
Those
there.
are my customers, Shak.
Here at your panel, John, you decided to go from horse racing to broadcasting. Martha's decided to go into family farming. And Denver's gone from the Department of Defense at the Pentagon straight to his whiskey rebellion to learn how and to distill whiskey. I mean, what better American dream is there in Virginia? I've gone from being a combat pilot to raising 6 children to owning a publishing company. I've written 2 books and fostered 46 children. I mean, this is what we want in America. But when you have somebody who's killing the American dream and voting lock, stock, and barrel with the establishment just for money, that's the only reason she's doing it. We have to tell the people, in turn, will tell the politicians, enough is enough, and we have to drain the swamp.
Hey, Shak, I do want to say on the drunken Democrats, they are part of my customer constituency, so we could be easy on them. And number 2, what I want to say about Shak, when I was thinking of running for governor, I went and talked to Shak, and I don't think there's a finer human being, regardless of politics, than Shak Hill, based on what he did for me. Took his time. I went to his house, and he's just a fantastic human being. Shak, it's just great to hear from you, and I'm so happy you announced. Man, it takes guts, brother, and I'm here with you.
Okay, so
we haven't quite announced just yet. We're making sure that things are in line. I do want to remind your listeners that if that $20 donate button's not working today, don't worry. Check back in a couple of hours or a couple of days, and it'll be working. But the important thing is how many times, John, have you heard we need to get money out of politics? We need to get politicians out of politics. We need to get the establishment out of politics, and we need to bring the American voice to the White House. If you believe like I believe, let's drain the swamp, let's move President Trump's agenda forward, and let's make this country great again.
All right, Shak Hill running. Shak, when you make your announcement, I know you filed your paperwork. When you make your official announcement, would you make it right here in the John Fredericks Radio Network?
I certainly appreciate the offer, John. We've got a lot of moving parts. Next week, I'm going to be in Washington, D.C., talking to some others. If we can, I will. But I need to make sure that I strategize. But I promise you this, you'll be one of the first to know, my friend.
All right, thank you. Shak Hill is going to, he's filed paperwork, and he is very likely to challenge Barbara Comstock in the Republican primary, which will be in most likely June of 2018 for the Republican nomination in the 10th Congressional District. Shak, keep fighting a good fight. Thanks for being with us.